Jayne, my name's Rick and we're Consumer Hub. We focus on recruiting, marketing, innovation and sales professionals across the FMCG sector. And this is Meet There. So this is all about us talking to some of the best minds in FMCG about what they do and giving them the opportunity to unpack that for you, for your interest. So today we've got Jayne Cunningham on the show, who is a packaging expert with McCain. Jayne, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. As a packaging engineer, can you just give us a very quick top line into what your role involves and what the function of it is in McCain?
I would say packaging engineer, as a packaging engineer for McCain, it's a super diverse role. So working across functions, including MPD marketing, new product development and new marketing, procurement, which I love that team to death, technical and production, and just supporting the development of GP packaging across all the 5 sites.
Smashing. So that's pretty busy then. You've got quite a few stakeholders there.
Just a few.
Yeah. It sounds like a dumb question, but just if anybody's not really thought about packaging before and everything that goes into it, like what value does the role of a packaging engineer add to an FMCG company like McCain?
Well, I suppose the value that I add to McCain is my love of planet, people and profit.
Yeah.
And bringing that to McCain Foods, because our values are aligned. In terms of sort of general, what does a packaging engineer bring to companies? If it's a manufactured product, then the packaging, the product's not leaving without packaging on it. So yeah. I would say that's what we bring to the table.
Yeah. It's interesting as well because I was chatting to my kids about this the other day. Actually, they've been watching. It's Greg Wallace, isn't it? He's got that program all about where he goes into food factories, and I was just asking them about packaging and what they thought was cool packaging, and talk about recycling, doing a project about that, and it just made me think. Actually, yeah, normally your first interaction with the product is actually through the packaging, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Because if the packaging isn't right, you're just not going to engage that product. So I
think it's becoming increasingly more integral to the development of the product inside, particularly as we sort of go further and further into e-commerce. So totally agree.
Yeah. And what does a typical day look like for you? Because for somebody not in the role, I guess they won't necessarily have an idea of the amount of things that just go in to you doing what you do.
Well, I think we sort of touched on that with the previous question. It is just such a diverse role. Yeah. I think that's one of the things I love about my job. I do like to stick my fingers in all of the pies. So, for example, today I'm working from home office, looking across the garden, listening to the Tweety birds. And then this afternoon I'm overseeing the implementation of a new product online. And then at some point I'll be balancing some admin tasks. Nice. And having some Teams calls. So yeah, you've got to want to move around a bit and do different things. If you just want to be a desk jockey, then find another job role for you.
Yeah. So variety then. I guess you got to kind of roll with what a project needs and just go for that, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to find that quite a few of the projects are offered to us, so they might come through procurement or new product development, but then there are SCA projects, which is our sustainable projects, that may be more likely led by ourselves. So yeah, mostly rolling with projects, but some of them we actually lead ourselves as well.
Right, okay, that's interesting. And I guess a nice segue into my next question, but what do you enjoy about the role, Jayne? And you obviously touched on it already, but what gets you out of bed in the morning? What gets you fired up?
Other than the Tweety birds?
Yeah. Or the alarm clock.
Yeah, well, that's Stuart, my partner, actually, who gets up at 5 a.m. It was my love of sustainability that led me to a job in packaging, which might seem a bit strange to some people.
No, not at all.
But I absolutely adore people as well. So working on the production floor with others is something that I really enjoy, fascinated by manufacturing, probably because I'm a designer maker, amongst other things in my spare time, and just working with McCain and their wish to be better, and just always striving for that. The conversations that we, sort of the planet-centric conversations that we are able to then have is just fantastic. It just lights me up. So yeah, it's a good role.
Oh, that's brilliant. No, thank you. That's really interesting to understand. And I guess just a little bit of a side step into some of the difficulties you might face. Maybe not difficult challenges. What are some of the challenges that you'll come across as a packaging engineer?
That's a hard question to answer in some ways. I've been in the industry for 3 years, so obviously you can tell that I am not just in my 20s, but obviously this is my second career. However, I think one of the biggest challenges in the industry is driven by when the packaging development is implemented. It's often something that's thought of at the end of a product's development. And because of that, you end up with it being a time-sensitive project, because obviously you've got the launch time of the product. So I would say, if I was going to wave a magic wand, I would have the packaging development thought of alongside and at the beginning, when the product development is to really open up innovation of product, the packaging functionality, how it can be reused, and really sort of thinking about the end game of the packaging product. So what value does it add to the recycle streams? You know, what's the worth of it?
Right. Okay. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. I guess you don't think about it, do you? When you're going and opening your pack of snacks, you don't think about actually, just how integral the packaging is to the overall product chain. And actually, it does need to be thought of, right at the beginning with the recipe development. And just on that point, like, who are the key stakeholders, across a project? I appreciate probably everybody, but who are some of the key ones you'd throw out there?
So it really depends on the project. So if we're working with new product development, the key stakeholders may be different. So if we're working directly with procurement, so really it just depends on the project. Sorry, that's a bit of a naff answer, but it's because packaging touches the whole value chain. It really does depend on which project you're on.
Right. Okay.
So everybody
needs packaging.
So you've got to think broadly, and then have the ability to sort of bring it back in and be targeted as well.
I'm hoping there's somebody watching this who's graduate, they've done an innovation design course or food tech, and that they've got passion for sustainability as well. If there's somebody thinking about a career in packaging engineering, like, what advice would you have for that individual about what good looks like in the role and how to cultivate that from the get-go?
So if it's a student looking for a new role, an entry, for me, it's always looking at your own values and then trying to match those to the company values, because then that just creates longevity in the job role. I also think it's from the other sort of side of the table, it's looking at the sort of personality and skills gaps, isn't it, within a team. So as a packaging engineer, it's quite on the wish list is that you've got attention to detail. However, actually, attention to detail, we've got it in abundance in our team. So yes, it's still part of my job role, but it's probably not the highest skill set that I've got.
Okay.
It's something that I have to try harder at.
Yeah. You sound like me, Jayne. I'm always getting told off by Adam, my business partner, for not doing my admin. He's like, we actually have to fill in an invoice form to raise it, Rich. For it.
But I think really sort of I think it's quite often missed when graduates are looking at jobs, they probably don't research the business enough and really sort of look at what gets that company going. To get a proper match, look at the values.
Yeah, okay. No, that's really good advice. And if there was somebody else that is maybe already a packaging engineer or in packaging, and they want to get better, at what they do you have any sort of general advice for people in packaging about, some of the learnings that you've had, or some of the things that really made you get better at, who you are as a professional at work?
I suppose one of my key skills is solution finding, and the way that I do that is to read broadly and to listen to lots of podcasts and just to talk to as many people as I can to gain insights. So I suppose that would be my advice, just to go off and learn loads and then bring that back.
Honestly, that is so interesting. We do lots of podcasting at Consumer Hub, and one of the things that comes up a lot, it doesn't matter what function I'm talking to somebody in. If somebody's good at what they do, they read widely. They've got this kind of really kind of open view of transferability of information, looking for those little gems on a podcast. I could apply that into my world. And we listen to a lot of podcasts in the office, and Connor, who I sit next to, we always sort of say that, when we listen to podcasts, we just want that one thing that makes us think about something a bit differently. And it is about sort of cultivating that just general interest and attitude to learning, isn't it?
I took part in some training recently, and the key bit of advice I took away from it was to look 2 turns ahead and connect the dots.
Nice. Love that.
I was like, yes, I'm going to use that.
Look 2 turns ahead and connect the dots.
Yeah. So in innovation, you're always looking ahead. And look 2 turns ahead, like you do if you're riding a bike. You're always going to get that in somewhere, or driving a car. And reading widely and thinking about podcasts enables you to connect the dots and formulate a picture.
That's great. I'll finish on that. That's a great insight. Well, look, thanks so much for joining us on the show today, Jayne. I really, really appreciate your time. I'm sure our listeners do as well. If you've appreciated Jayne's insights today, please do drop Jayne a note on LinkedIn. Tell her what you enjoyed. Go and follow the McCain page on LinkedIn. Follow their socials, see what they're up to in the wonderful world of potatoes. And follow our page as well, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. See you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. Check out the playlist here for more content like this. Click the donuts to subscribe so you never miss an update, and give us a like and a comment so we know what content you'd like to see from us. See you next time.